Okay, we are recording now. Tom, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Love is but a song we sing, feels the way we die. You can make the mountains rain, or maybe the angels cry. Though the bird is on the wing, you may not know why. Come on, people now, smile on each other, everybody. Get together, try to love one another right now. Some will come and some will go, we shall surely pass. When the one that left us here returns to us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight fading in the grass. Come on, people now, smile on for each other, everybody. Get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, Smile on each other, everybody. Get together, try and love one another right now. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there your command. Come on, people now, smile on each other, everybody. Get together, try and love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on each other, everybody. Get together, try and love one another right now. One more time. Let's hear it. Come on, people now, smile on each other, everybody. Get together, try and love one another right now. Right now, right now.
Molly, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Welcome, everyone, on this snowy day. Our theme today is connection and community. I'm Molly Maisie O'Neill Loudon, the facilitator of the Celtic worship team. And there are 10 of us who offer our gifts to bring us together in a community to nurture our spirits and to feel connection and community today. So thank you for joining us, because you bring us an opportunity for connection and community, about which I'll reflect in a few minutes. I hope you enjoyed the St. Bridget Day reminder on Monday, February 1. Bridget is one of our great Celtic saints, ordained a bishop in the early church. She was the leader of the monastery in Kildare, which very interestingly was a monastery for men and women. Now, today there's a way to request private prayer during the upcoming week by using chat. Include your name and phone number, and Wes Winterbottom or I will call and pray with you during the week. On Sunday, February 21, we have scheduled another Celtic contemplative walk, 12:45 at Holy Family Retreat Center in West Hartford. If the weather is not conducive, the walk will be canceled and you will be notified. Please stay with us for the discussion after the service, because this is a time for connection and community, and we like to hear from you and hear and learn from each other. We're grateful that you have chosen to be with us. We hope that what the team has prepared for you will help you feel held in connection to each other and in our Celtic community. Thank you.
Wes, you should be able to unmute.
Okay. The opening poem for this evening is called The Human Connection by Daniel Farnham. We share this theater together and watch the act patiently. We applaud those who perform well, and even louder and harder for those who only had the courage to try. We watch the dancers on the stage, our youth on the stage, ourselves on stage. It is beautiful. It is raw. It is real. It is not perfect, and some will fall. But we all feel together. We lift each other up. It is love. We are all together on the stage as actors, as graceful dancers and brilliant musicians, performing as one. We are all connected in the audience as proud parents, as loving relatives and respectful friends, cheering as one. It is not perfect, it is life, raw and real. Some will fall, but we all feel together, and we'll lift each other up as one, for ourselves and for each other.
For today's song, we are trying something a little different. A video performance of the song We All Belong, written by our own Jeff Verney of the Celtic Guild and performed by Jeff and his group Asylum Street.
Rainbow shines so brightly until it starts to rain. Rivers are crossed nightly into a world of pain. So many screams shatter the dreams, because the truth is not what it seems. And though some may fall, we'll always recall the courage of them all. The colors of spring will fade away, but they'll all come back someday. So we'll stand strong and we'll have hope. The kids teach us how to cope and carry on. And carry on. We all belong. We all belong. Hunger in the morning makes shadows through the day. Storms come without warning, wash everything away. No way to learn, watching it burn. It's all a blur, everything churns. No way to connect, there's so much neglect. A world we will reject. The colors of spring will fade away, but they'll all come back someday. So we'll stand strong and we'll have hope. The kids The kids teach us how to cope and carry on. And carry on. We all belong. 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 We all belong.
I can see some applause, so I think that that worked, thankfully. For all my friends in the Celtic Guild, phew!
Tonight, this is an absolutely wonderful turnout for our first back to the open stage. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us on Wednesday. All right, guys, without any further ado, please put your
All right, let's get rid of that. Sorry about that. Just have to do a slight reconfiguration. Now bear with me. Okay, Bruce Loudon, you are, you should be able to see that screen now, I hope, and you're up.
A Friendship Blessing by John O'Donohue. May you be blessed with good friends. May you learn to be a good friend to yourself. May you be able to journey to that place in your soul where there is great love, warmth, feeling, and forgiveness. And may this change you. May it transfigure that which is negative, distant, or cold in you. May you be brought in to the real passion, kinship, and affinity of belonging. May you treasure your friends. May you be good to them, and may you be there for them. May they bring you all the blessings, challenges, truth, and light that you need for your journey. May you never be isolated. May you always be in the gentle nest of belonging.
Molly, you should be ready to go.
Good evening. In these past 11 months, especially since March 13 and the COVID stay-at-home order, my connection to another human being or to a community of folks has often been the most uplifting moment in my day. Many a day, I feel it has gotten me through feelings of anger, discouragement, sadness, helplessness, feeling stuck, feeling depressed, and like this is endless. But when I can call someone whom I know can be with me in those difficult feelings, that is connection. They don't need me to change, to be better or happier or different. When a dear friend can hear exactly where I am and meet me there, I find in their acceptance more self-acceptance. So that is what we're going to talk about today, connection and community, and it is timely. I know for certain as a psychotherapist that when we get connection or acceptance for how we feel and really take it in, our feelings change. We will move on from that feeling, or we will go deeper into it because there's more for us to know. But either way, the acceptance of another can bring us into more self-acceptance. The more we accept ourselves, the more whole we become. Because when we can't accept, what we can't accept in ourselves is what we do not accept in others. That becomes the source of projection. Seeing what's in our darkness, seeing our shadow outside of ourselves and in others. And it just so happens in the way that God works with serendipity, which I believe is a particular attribute of the Holy Spirit. The Celts and the Celtic tradition have a name for this. They have a tradition of this kind of deep friendship. It is the Celtic practice called Anam Cara, which means soul friend. And the author of our blessing, John O'Donohue, has written a book entitled Anam Cara, a book of Celtic wisdom. He writes, in the Celtic tradition, there is a beautiful understanding of love and friendship. One of the fascinating ideas here is the idea of soul love. The old Gaelic term for that is Anam Cara. Anam is Gaelic for soul. Cara is the word for friend. And in the early Celtic church, a person who acted as a teacher or a companion or a spiritual guide was called an Anam Cara. It originally referred to someone to whom you confessed, revealing the hidden intimacies of your life. With the Anam Cara, you could share your innermost self, your mind, and your heart. This friendship was an act of recognition and belonging. The soul is a divine light that flows into you and into your other. The art of belonging awakens and fosters a deep and special companionship. In this kind of relationship, you are understood as you are, without a mask, without pretense. Love always understands, and understanding is precious, because where you are understood, you are at home. Understanding nourishes belonging. And when you really feel understood, you feel free to release yourself into the trust and shelter of the other person's soul. This art of love discloses the special and sacred identity of the other person. Being an Anam Cara, a soul friend, requires purposeful presence. It asks that we show up with absolute integrity and intention. That interior intentionality is what sets the Anam Cara apart from a casual friend. It is an active presence. A friend is a loved one who awakens your life in order to free the wild possibilities within you. The honesty and clarity of true friendship brings out the real contour of your spirit. When we realize how vital to our whole spirit and being, character, mind, and health, friendship actually is, we will take time for it. So many of us have trouble taking time until we remember what's essential. It's one of the lonelinesses of humans that we only realize what we have when we're about to lose it. That is what many of us have experienced in the last 11 months, as we have been separated from our friends and families, unable to socialize freely, do things that we enjoy together. I believe it has made many of us appreciate how valuable friendship and especially connection can be. Another serendipity this month was an article in Psychology Today about the way the pandemic has transformed making and maintaining friendships. It tells us that public health experts had already concluded that we were in the midst of a loneliness epidemic before the coronavirus. It turns out that friendship is an important component of happiness and life satisfaction. It can even reduce the risk of illness. The more tightly we are embedded in a network of friends, the less likely we are to become ill, and the faster we recover if we do. Remember that song by Barbara Streisand, People Who Need People? It turns out that even if you've thought of yourself as an entrenched introvert, you still find it life-giving to be with other people. It is particularly important in times of distress or crisis. Human resilience depends on the richness and strength of social connections. The second theme today is community, which we're in right now on this Celtic worship service on Zoom. Psychology Today tells us that outer circles of friendship matter as well as inner circles. The connections that we get with our closest friends and the weak ties that boost our sense of belonging and make us feel connected to a community contribute to our overall well-being. It isn't an either or equation, it's a both and. Quality connections with our closest friends are good for our health. And community connections, casual interactions with weak ties are also good for our health and predict a long life. This brings to mind my grandson, Sam, who is a freshman in the Honors College at UConn. Having been home since before Thanksgiving, when it was time for him to return to the campus in mid-January, I asked him if he was ready to go. His reply was very clear. He was so ready to go. I said, why? What is it? He's an academic star, but it was to be with his friends and around other young, interesting people. A month of doing college and final exams from his bedroom online, and then a month off, he was very ready to go back to the community he had formed in college. And all the youngsters that I've spoken with much prefer to be in school and in class than to be doing school online. It turns out that the health risks of having too few friends are most pronounced during adolescence and old age. What I can say for myself is that often my favorite day of the month is the day that we join in Celtic worship community to be together, to hear each other, to sing together, to pray together. There is something very life-giving about being in community and hearing from each other. So I really hope that you will stay on after the service and talk with us, talk with each other about your experience of connection and community, especially in the last 11 months, but in your lifetime as well. It was affirming that, in fact, friendship and connection and community are all important to our health, not only our mental health, but even our physical health. So when I thank you for being with us today, it turns out it is genuinely good for us to be together. The benefits are actually measurable. Now, it takes a willingness to be vulnerable and risk rejection to reach out and make a plan or make a connection with a friend. Somehow, the more we need it, the riskier it is for us. But I want to support you and give you each connections for reaching for the friendship and the community you need. Now we know it is not only life-giving on an emotional level, but it is good for our health. And it turns out it is good for the other's health as well. Let me repeat John O'Donohue's friendship blessing. May you be blessed with good friends. May you learn to be a good friend to yourself. Maybe you be able to journey to that place in your soul where there is great love, warmth, feeling, and forgiveness. May this change you. May it transfigure that which is negative, distant, or cold in you. May you be brought into the real passion, kinship, and affinity of belonging. May you treasure your friends. May you be good to them, and may you be there for them. May they bring you all the blessings, challenges, truth, and light that you need for your journey. May you never be isolated. May you always be in the gentle nest of belonging with your Anam Cara. Thank you.
Stay with me, remain here with me. Watch and pray. Watch and pray. Stay with me, remain here with me. Watch and pray. Watch and pray. Stay with me, remain here with me. Watch and pray. Watch and pray. Stay with me, remain here with me. Watch and pray. Watch and pray. Stay with me, remain here with me. Watch and pray. Watch and pray. Stay with me, remain here with me. Watch and pray. Watch and pray.
should be able to unmute Mary.
The lines in bold print are from an ancient traditional Celtic prayer. Please read them aloud. Let us pray.
God, to enfold us.
Your arms are like the branches of the trees, holding the rest of creation.
God, to surround us.
Protect us from the evils of envy and despair.
God, in our speaking.
From syllables of love in our hearts and mouths.
God, in our thinking.
Banish fear and hatred, pride and petty thought. Grant us compassion, truth, and peace.
God, in our sleeping.
Renew us with your love. Let us dream dreams of freedom and inclusion, welcome and belonging.
God, in our waking.
Let us give solace to the grieving, food to the hungry, welcome to the stranger. Together, let us create communities of love, work, and worship.
God, in our watching.
Make us sentinels of a new world in which your creation is guarded and protected, honored, nourished, and fed.
God, in our hoping.
May we cherish hope for our lives and the lives of others.
God, in our lives.
May we walk with you through the shadows, carrying your light into the world.
God, in our sufficing.
Help us to be grateful for everything, small or grand, painful or joyful, knowing you are in all things.
God, in our ever-living souls.
Let us know your presence, breathe through our breath, see through our eyes, hear through our ears.
God, in our eternity.
May we know we live only through you, that we came from your being and will return to your light.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, Wes, I couldn't find you, but now you're up.
Oh. Okay, when I was preparing for today, I struggled a bit to find some things that really spoke to me. And I thought I'd try and come up with one long thing, and I was not successful, but I came up with 3 short things that really spoke to me. So I thought 3 short ones are as good as one long one. First is a quote from Fred Rogers. When my son graduated from Dartmouth in 2002, Fred Rogers was the graduation speaker. And I'm a college professor, so I hear a lot of graduation speeches, most of which I can't tell you what they said, but with Fred Rogers that day, I could tell you what he said. Second is a short poem, Kindest, by Nikita Kell, who's a rising young poet. And the last one is something I heard on the 6 o'clock news a couple of years ago that really spoke to me. So those are the 3 that I've come up with. So the quote from Fred Rogers: "If you could only sense how important you are to the lives of those you meet, how important you can be to people you may never even dream of. There is something in yourself that you leave at every meeting with another person." The second is a poem, Kindest by Nikita Gill. All the broken people I know are also the kindest. I guess when you've been through terrible suffering, you do not want anyone else to have to endure it, especially when you know from experience how good a person can be at hiding it. And the last one, I could not find an author for. It's called Be Kind. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind. Always be kind.
Molly.
Thank you so much for being with us, and I hope that this worship has helped you feel connected and encourage you to reach out to friends. Reminder, on Sunday in 2 weeks, we're going to try another Celtic contemplative walk at Holy Family Retreat Center in West Hartford on Tunxus. And if the weather is not good, you will be contacted. And I hope you will stay with us after the worship service so that we can get connection with you and develop community around our topics or more today. We're grateful that you have been with us. Thank you to everybody who took part. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace.
Thank you all. In a moment, I'm going to change the setting to allow you all to unmute yourself for our fellowship and discussion. I do ask you that while you are listening, just so that we control some of the background noise, keep yourself on mute during that period of time. And occasionally I will drop in and mute someone if I hear shuffling or something going on. But we invite you all to participate. Just a few things to mention, as Molly said, that we will be having the Celtic Contemplative Walk for Community in 2 weeks. I wanted to, and I'll point out to you where you can get information about that in just a second. I wanted to wish you all a happy Valentine's Day with the hearts on here. And I'm supposed to remain agnostic here, but I have to say, go Chiefs. Go Chiefs. One more thing I'm going to share with you just as a reminder. If my machine will cooperate with me, here we go. See if I get this working right. So don't forget about our website. This is a kind of a one-stop shopping. We were using Facebook. And out here on the website, everybody can get at this at www.ctcelticworship.org. We, hope that this helps solidify our community a little bit. Here on the front page, if you scroll down, you can get links to all kinds of different places. I will post the information for the March 7th, I think it's the same date, Celtic Worship Next Up. There's some information over here about the contemplative walk that we just talked about. On the front page here, replays of our services for the year thus far to date, and in the next few days, I'll get this service posted up here as well. At the top, our schedule. You can always the system is not there. We go. Web was not cooperating with me. If you pop over here, you can get kind of the highlights of everything that we're doing during our year, and then the request that many people have over here under things to share. You're able to see the readings and the songs from today's service, including, bear with me a second, I got to move one box here out of the, if you go over here, if you can scroll this down a little bit, this is a calls out, including I've been able to, I'm very proud of myself here, not being overly techie, but I figured out how to embed Jeff's song here under things to share and today's service. So you can go right to the YouTube link on our page there. So as I said, just a little bit of a plug for the website. Send us an email if you want to communicate with us. Join us on Facebook or on Instagram, although we're not as active on Instagram. And so with that, thank you. And I am changing the setting. Let me see. I think it worked. Yep. Okay, I have accidentally locked the meeting, which I will fix. I've changed the setting here so that everybody can participate in the fellowship. So feel free to unmute yourself. And Molly, I think you look like you're unmuted, so I'm gonna go ahead.
So glad to see all of you. One of the wonderful things about a snowy day is the quiet. So it is a quiet earth. It also invites us to be quiet and slow down. So I'm so glad you chose to be with us. It's got to be February and it's got to be Super Bowl Sunday because I'm doing the reflection. That seems to be what I do every year. Well, okay. There has to be some balance somewhere. So you've heard what my experience of connection and community and how important it's been and how valued, actually. I don't think I've ever appreciated it as much as in the last 11 months. And now we want to hear from you. What has been your experience?
Can I'm sorry that I joined late. I hope I didn't disrupt anybody's meditation or contemplative thinking. I was actually on another Zoom meeting with a bunch of alumni from my class, and we were just getting together. What we've done recently is have monthly get-togethers of our classmates, just as a way of catching up, because it is our 50th anniversary this year, our reunion. And it's made a big difference in just, where we're all kind of sitting at home, being by ourselves and not being able to visit with family and friends, that it's been nice to at least be able to communicate through the Zoom and catch up.
Sounds like a great idea.
It has been.
Is this a high school class or a college class?
It's a high school class. And we had 2 nurses on today. So we had a lot of talk about COVID and their input to what, they're seeing and what their views are and everything to that matter, and then just catching up on what their families are doing and their young kids and their grandkids. So it was a great way to connect.
Did I? Yes, please.
I was at a memorial this afternoon with someone whose whole life was a light of connection and social justice and love. And it was very sad, but there was a community of 150 people on Zoom who were being there and celebrating her incredible life and the gift she gave to everyone of her spark of light and her presence and her gift of being with people and sharing love. So it was a wonderful and challenging gift of community.
Thank you. I'm just realizing I did not do a whole paragraph of 2 paragraphs of what I'd written, remarking on how I had never been on Zoom very often before in my life until 11 months ago. And now it's even the way the family gets together. But I wanted to highlight that Psychology Today pointed out that research show 2 forms of conversation that are especially effective in bringing people closer. One is catching up, and the other is joking around. And what I can say about the joking around is every time this Celtic worship team gets together to plan a service, there is a lot of hilarity, because that's just the way we relate to each other. And I can say for sure that the laughter and that kind of connection and friendship is life-giving. Laughing is very good for us. And we do feel closer to other people when we laugh with them, I think.
I don't know about that, Mom. I'm very serious.
Well, that's true. You're the serious one.
Very much so. So I wanted to express jealousy right now of Anne, because my college reunion of 35 years, and I've planned every single one since our second reunion, in 1987 was our second reunion, was canceled last May. And we thought we had been invited, and we thought we were going to be able to go back to campus this May, and it now has been canceled for this May. So I'm bumming about that, but I wrote down after you said that, maybe we should just start Zooms with our classmates. Hold on a minute, son. Okay. What I wanted to comment on is interesting. Wes, the quote that you used in your last quote is something that I have been advocating for months now, which is just, you never know what's going on behind closed doors. You never know what's going on in people's lives when you're next to them in line at the grocery store. So just to try to live from a compassionate place, I've been trying to do that. Unfortunately, it has not come back to me in the last 2 weeks. And so, Mom, when you were talking about community, I've been the chair of the Board of Education in my town for 5.5 years now. And we are now dealing with our budget, as we do every year at this time. But this particular year, members of my Board of Selectmen have chosen to really become quite disrespectful. And it's been very, very hard these last 2 weeks. So I've really felt yesterday, I just felt really spent. So I took a mental health day and didn't look at any emails or any texts or whatnot. And it was very, very helpful. But just wanted to comment on how community sometimes can be very, very difficult. After you give and give and give so much to a community, to then have it come back and be so critical was very, very difficult.
I'm sorry to hear that, honey.
Molly.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, I'd like to say, first of all, as a Connecticut educator for 38 years and administrator for 9 years, go Molly, go, because there is that whole community behind you of teachers and students and parents and administrators who know that you are doing everything that you can to help us to bring the best to the children. So,
And Linda, that was my daughter, Shannon.
yes, I know. Yes.
Okay, good.
And so I wanted to give you a heads up, Shannon. I also wanted to say, when you talked about the community, I live in a high rise in Hartford, 27 stories, and it's so interesting that we all feel so isolated. It's almost like being in jail sometimes. And you know, you have these you have 6 or 7 apartments on the same floor, and we hardly ever see one another except in the laundry room. But what's interesting is the lobby, where we have our security guards and we have our maintenance people and we have the postman coming in and the delivery men. That's become a real place of community. And again, there's no big ongoing discussion, but when you talk about chatting and joking and connecting, and people walking with their dogs and stopping to talk, it's become a very important place where you can have some connection. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And the other thing my other paragraph was about how walking has become a much more intentional connection for many, and it's just good for us to get outside and to have a different perspective and breathe fresh air, especially if we can walk with someone whose company we enjoy.
Molly, can I chime in?
Okay, David JC.
First of all, thank you for that really lovely reflection. And I appreciated not only the soul friend part and the close friend part, but the looser circles around. And Linda, as a follow-on to your comments about how where you live kind of structures our lives. We live in in Simsbury, in a suburb, and our neighbors are not connected by sidewalks. And for 30 years, we've all been driving in and driving out on different schedules. And this year we've been walking the street a lot, and it's totally changed the sense of our neighborhood. I mean, we know more people than we've met in 30 years, and it's light, it's joking, it's it's not no great deep soulful conversations, but it's so nice to know people and know their names and just say hello and offer kindness and receive kindness without knowing even anymore. So I'm grateful for the shift in the pandemic for reorienting us where we live.
Thank you, David. I agree. I even feel solace seeing lights on in the houses around me. And they don't know I'm looking in their window.
Maybe they do. Maybe they're peering back.
Well, maybe so. But it just feels good to know other people are there.
I think one of those things is because people are working from home now. And, it's something that we're so used to working 12 hours a day and not being home during light hours. And now you're able to kind of break up your day and
kind of just take advantage of having be home. One of my biggest problems with this pandemic is how upended time is. I frequently don't know what day it is. I don't know if any of the rest of you have that problem, but I wake up in the morning or sometimes I wake up mid-morning. And having lived all my life as someone who really not only had to get up early, but had to get up early and be functioning pretty well right from the get-go, to have this kind of these long pauses where I lie there and think, okay, what day is this? What's going on today? What do I have to remember? And one of the things that I've read in a lot of this stuff that I get is how good it is at this time to use that waking up time to sit and think about what you're grateful for. And that has really become a lovely way to enter the day that I wasn't doing before. But to just bless the people who are in my life and the strangers who aren't, but that I interact with in the way, David, you were talking about. It's been very curious, and I've thought of a lot of people that have been important to me at various times in my life. They say, somebody said at some point, friends are for a reason or a season or a lifetime. And so you knew people when you were raising kids together, and maybe you've lost track of those folks because we all moved to different places when we retired. And I've been catching up with them, and it's been just a joy. And people that I used to work with, a friend that I was in a supervision group with forever, a peer supervision group. We were in this group every week for 6 hours with this really incredible guy in New York City. And you get pretty close when you're talking about such personal things. And so she lives in Australia now. And it's just, I can just sort of get her on the computer. You know, it's amazing. So, and I feel myself a little bit more open because of that hunger that we all feel for connection. It's amazing to me, every one of these contacts, my cousins in Wales that we, you know, write Christmas cards to each other, but now we're talking to each other. It's really such a different way to live. Can I not wait until we get out of this? I feel really crazy sometimes, and it can be depressing. But it can also be a very creative time if we want it to be. And the Celts are good at inspiration for that. God is in all things.
There's a word for that, Mary. This is Molly. It's called Blur's Day.
Yeah, right. Right.
They do begin to all feel the same.
Yeah, it's crazy. So.
Well, I really appreciate the way this team has just carried on. And I do believe that we are going to come through this. And when enough of us have had the vaccination, we'll be able to do it in person again. But, you know, I have to wonder too. I mean, we've had people join us who would not drive to West Hartford. Hi, Kathleen Dugan. And one woman from California whose great grandfather was William Hall, who's Hall High School in West Hartford. So we're going to have to decide whether we do both, and maybe we do both. I know that the church is seriously considering carrying on with both, because it allows people to be part of the worship that otherwise simply wouldn't, because they don't have transportation or whatever.
Maybe that's a good time for me to chip in, because I'm actually joining you from Aberdeen, Scotland.
Lucky you. Thank you.
Hey, another Scots one.
I was on Facebook earlier looking for stuff from the Iona community to get involved with. And I saw Jeff had the Iona picture up behind him, the Abbey, and your thing came up. So I thought, I'll see what that is. But no, I'm lucky enough to have been and stayed in the Abbey a couple of times at Iona. And also we sung the beautiful Taizé chant. I visited and stayed there, and they're wonderful places to go if you ever get the opportunity. And just one thing I would tell you about, if people are interested, on the Facebook page for the Iona community, they actually post a service every morning of about 15 minutes doing a little liturgy with some music as well. I have never been yet, so I've just found out about it, but I thought some of you guys might be interested in that too. And I just wanted to also thank Norbs for his music. It was absolutely beautiful. So thank you for being able to join you.
Thank you, Emma. So several of us have had the privilege to pilgrimage to Iona, and that was sort of the impetus to start these services in this community. And of course, a little plug that I have linked the Iona Facebook page and the Iona to our Facebook page, but also if you go to our website on the things to share tab, you can click on what Emma was talking about right there. You can see the services. The link is out there. So
great.
Well done, John, again and again.
Emma, can you keep talking, please?
Yes, just talk about anything. We love to hear you.
Read the phone book, whatever you want to do, my dear.
I don't actually sound Scottish. Mother was brought up in England, so I have an English accent, although I am Scottish.
No, just keep talking.
We like English too.
I'm Shannon O'Neill Loudon, and they say that the Shannon O'Neill was screwed up by the Loudon, but I don't think so.
No,
we're from the Campbell clan, Emma.
All right, yeah, I have
very
friends.
Notorious. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they also, the Duke of Argyll, it owns Iona. That's part of his land, but fortunately they generously gave it to the land trust for Scotland.
I mean, the story of Iona is wonderful in the 20th century, because in the 1930s, a guy got all these unemployed people guys from Glasgow to go and rebuild the Abbey, and that rebuilt their confidence, and then they were able to go and get jobs and stuff. So it's a great social justice story.
Yeah, George MacLeod, who is John Philip Newell's mentor.
I want to say hi to Emma. I'm a Glasgow girl, although I have
you are.
Although I have an American accent by now, but I came over here when I was 15. It's nice to hear you.
That's in Glasgow. Did you come
Glasgow,
from?
Kelvin side by the Kelvin Grove Park.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Edinburgh, so we've got that rivalry.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just wanted to say hi and welcome you. I want to thank you, everyone, for this lovely worship service. I was thinking about community, and before COVID hit, I was the type of person that was always out. I was in the car, I was meeting people, I never stayed home long enough to even be home. And I ate out all the time, and And when March happened, I stopped working and I began to stay home. I live in a fairly small cottage on a by Bolton Lake, and so I began to stay home, and I began to walk the neighborhood, and something very strange happened. I began to love my home, and I began to feel like I belonged in this community. And there's a little private beach down the street from me, and I began to go there every day when it was really hot this summer, and I was kayaking and felt really grateful for what I had been given. And I met a lot of my neighbors who I didn't know before, and I've gotten to know them by name, and I've gotten to really appreciate the community that I live in. There's very kind people who live in this neighborhood, and I'm really lucky. And some of them have had some tragic things happen. Two of them have lost their husbands over this year, and the community got together and we helped out and raised money for one of the little girls. She had a little granddaughter, so we raised money for Christmas gifts. And I just thought, wow, what an incredible community of people that I had never known before, and I'm lucky to be a part of it. So I never thought that this would be the benefit of staying home, and being a homebody. The biggest thing in the morning when I wake up, hopefully it can be a little bit more spiritual, but in the morning when I wake up, I think, oh, what's for dinner tonight? That's the big event of the day. What's for dinner tonight? Because no longer do I go out and eat. I feed myself. And I think that is somehow a bit of a spiritual experience in some way, to actually cook for myself. So a lot of changes are going on. And I just got off. I'm so glad I remembered this because I've missed the last couple. I was on a Zoom meeting with 700 people from all over the world, and amazing. And it was on a class that I'm taking on nonviolent communication and how to speak kindly to people. And it's been really amazing to learn. And there were 700 plus people, and the need for kindness and need for kindness and for communication in a way. It seems like from what I've been on there, there's a need for it. So I'm just glad to be a part of that community, and I'm glad to be a part of this community. So thank you all for being here.
Helena?
Yes.
Or is it Helena or Helena?
Helena.
Helena.
Yeah.
I wanted to live on Bolton Lake and we couldn't find a place, so I'm next door in Andover.
Oh, Andover's beautiful.
It's
You're
not
my
behind
neighbor.
me, but we'll get together when we can get together, but I'm in Andover.
Hi, neighbor.
Hi, neighbor.
Emma, do you know the story of George MacLeod and Helena? Is Emma still there?
Sorry, I just know what he did when he got to Iona. I don't know before that.
Well, he was from a very wealthy upbringing. He ended up being Lord George MacLeod, and he was a natural to take over the highest Presbyterian pulpit, St. Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh, where he was as a young man. But he chose to take the church in Glasgow, which was a poor working class community and church. And it was from Glasgow that he started bringing people to rebuild the Abbey in Iona. He was a great social justice advocate.
Thank you for that information.
Oh, of course.
I first learned about George MacLeod at Findhorn. And that was a long time ago. But that's what I associate his name with. And then, of course, John Philip Newell came along, and now we know the whole story.
Yeah, I'm not too far from Findhorn. I'm on the East Coast.
Are you? Are you? Have you been there?
Yeah, a couple of times. It's a lovely place.
Oh, isn't it though? Yeah, changed my life.
Mine as well. Molly you'll remember, I don't think anybody else is on with us right now, but we had the opportunity to spend time with George McLeod's son when we were at Iona with some tours, some comments, and that was pretty cool, I have to say.
We were up on the mound where Columba would go to pray
Yes, that's right.
in front of the Abbey. Well, there was no Abbey for Columba. It's a fascinating place. And I must say, when they call it a thin place, that really was my experience. It did feel like there was just about this. There he is. There's McLeod's son.
I knew I had a photo someplace, but yes. And that was his father's rod, I think, right? As I recall. Right here. So. Sorry, Molly knows that I'm fast with the pulling the pictures out of the archives here. So
I forget what I was saying.
Yep,
Thin
sorry.
place. What's it mean, Molly?
Oh,
What's the
yes,
thin place?
that it very, very, very much felt like the souls that had already passed over were very near. And I remember one of our fellow pilgrims who was very skeptical about the whole thing. He was not having it or buying it until he had a very healing experience of his mother's spirit being with him. And that changed how he felt about everything. I also have a colleague who walked through the graveyard saying hello to everybody that she had buried the last year in her church. So there is truth that there are places that that feel very, very close to other souls.
I just want to say thank you for being
Sil.
here. I do understand the importance of connection and close connection and distant connection. And as I hear you talking about the Celtic following, which I am not, it's interesting for me just to sit here and hear you talk about it. And I have my own spiritual path, and I feel a kinship with what you're saying and an appreciation in new ways. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. I think Buddha was a Celt.
No doubt. No doubt.
You know, truth is truth. And there's a wonderful book of the Buddha's saying and Christ's teachings, and they are so close that it's made me believe Jesus actually knew about Buddhism, being in the Middle East. And I think he and his cousin got around.
What's the book called?
Well,
is it Thich Nhat Hanh's book?
Thich Nhat Hanh wrote a book talking about Christianity and Buddhism and the similarities. And for those of you who don't know, Thich Nhat Hanh is a Vietnamese Buddhist monk.
Right.
And he was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by Martin Luther King Jr. So. Living Buddha, Living Christ, I think is the name.
Yeah, I might even have.
That's it.
Living in, yeah.
So much. It's gotten me through a lot of hard times.
Hi, Jared.
Hi, Molly. And he definitely does talk a lot about reconciling Buddhism with Christianity, I know.
You know, I think they all have a form of what we call the golden rule, that loving another as you love yourself.
Yes.
Mm.
Mm.
And in fact, I have to acknowledge that thank God for Thich Nhat Hanh and the influence on us in the United States, because we began to pay attention to a practice of meditation.
Mm.
And it was totally influenced
Mm.
by the Buddhist movement. In fact, Thomas Keating, who was at the time the abbot up in Spencer, Mass, saw all his little Catholic kids going down the road to the Inside Meditation Center. And since they were Trappist, I guess he couldn't say this out loud, but somehow he let his pals know, we got to do something about this.
Hmm.
We have held our meditation practice in the monastery, and we've never taught our people the practice. So these kids are hungry for a practice, and they're learning it from the Buddhists. And that was the beginning of, as you know, a huge influence of yoga and meditation and contemplative work. And it seems that the truth is the truth. And when they all settle down, they're talking about the same experience.
I received a Christmas card from a friend, from a Jewish friend, which had at least 25 different religions, and they were all saying, love each other, as love your neighbor as yourself. It's pretty universal.
I think the thing that I like to pay attention there that I don't often practice, that I'm trying this weekend, is the loving yourself part.
Mm.
Yes.
It's a lot easier to love others for me.
Mm.
And now I'm going to go shovel so I can get out to watch the Super Bowl with friends. And I'm going to say, sorry about this, John, but I want to see if Tom Brady can do it with another team. And I like rooting for a 43-year-old quarterback. So Mahomes has got a lot more years in him. Go Buccaneers. Place of my birth. Forgot about that part. Thank you for this community. I'll see you guys in a month or on February 21st if we can do so.
He's a traitor, Shannon, by the way.
I know. Hey, I wasn't from Kansas City. How am I a traitor?
No, Tom.
Okay.
He's a traitor.
Oh boy, I'm leaving now on that controversy. Bye.
Bye, sweetheart.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Sil. I was absolutely raised on Big Ten football because my dad played for Illinois and we lived in Toledo, Ohio. And I knew who the coach of Ohio State was before I knew who the governor was. So sure enough, I have done the reflection on at least 3 first Sundays in February, which it turns out is Super Bowl Sunday. The first was on the Divine Feminine, and it was the most people we have ever had, which is really, I don't know what that says. I'll just leave it to your imagination.
The funny thing about that one was that we all were so worried that the Super Bowl would be, there would be nobody there, and we had a big discussion about it, and we said, oh, well, are the people who usually come here likely to be? Well, maybe not. And, there was a big wondering about who was going to show up, and we had 70 people or something like that.
We had 95.
Did we?
Yeah. I think there may be a lot of women who do not feel included in the national celebration.
Maybe that's true.
Wally, do you know Kathy Galloway? She used to be head of the Iona community because she's written fantastic poetry and lyrics. This is one of her books I love. And it's got a re-imaging of the creation in it, which you'd love because of the feminine stuff you've just said. So I recommend that book. Kathy Galloway.
Galloway. G or C?
K for Kathy, and then G for Galloway.
Galloway.
As I say, she was head of the Iona community, an amazing woman.
Do you know when she was?
Can't remember. Maybe it says. It doesn't seem. Minister of Church and former co-warden of Iona Abbey. Doesn't say when.
Because John Philip Newell was as well.
Mm-hmm.
She was the first woman to be elected leader of the Iona community in 2002.
There we go.
Google.
That's impressive. How long was she there, John? Was she there when we were there?
Hang on a sec.
2017?
I'm reading real fast here. I don't, she was the warden of the Abbey. Right, it's not moving here. I don't know, Molly. I don't know the answer to that. But
okay.
I think I'm gotten pretty good with some of the names there, but I don't recognize that one. So I'm just wondering if she was only there for a short time 20 years ago. So there are, to Emma's point, she does have a whole bunch of books listed here. Wild Goose Publications books, so we know they're Iona. Yeah.
They're probably in the Iona bookshop. Well, as reluctant as I am, I want to let you all go. Sometimes the ads are pretty good. Just saying. And we so appreciate you joining us. And I hope that our conversation and the music and the words and the being together have been an encouragement to your spirit. And the truth is, if you didn't come, we wouldn't have a community. So your presence is very important. Have a gentle, snowy evening.
And there's good stuff on PBS, by the way.
Oh, yes.
If you're not watching the Super Bowl,
Scottish stuff. All creatures, great and small.
Absolutely.
Great. That's Yorkshire.
That's Yorkshire. Yes, that's.
It's in England?
Yeah.
Yes, but it's lovely.
Yeah. It's way up near Scotland, though, yes?
It's very close to Scotland. Hadrian's Wall, I think, is very near.
And Molly, let me just say, while we have a few people left, as a football fan and just a general football fan, there were many years that I was conflicted on Super Bowl Sunday. And in fact, I left my wife and 2 daughters watching the game, and I escaped upstairs to watch the latest episode of Downton Abbey. And that's a true story. So
you're my kind of man, John.
I was so addicted to that. I left the Super Bowl for an hour to watch the episode. So
absolutely, you have good taste.
Thank you.
Be well, everyone, in deep peace.
Thank you. Thank you.
Night.
Good night.